We'll get sponsors soon.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We don't need sponsors now. It's just kind of a first take.
But we can throw like between your companies and mine, we'll just put them all on there and pretend like we're cool.
We definitely will. Yeah, no doubt. No doubt about it like that. Yeah.
I'm sponsored by Clink, just so you know. I got a patch coming.
Welcome to the Heavy Lifts podcast. This is a podcast for those who see the opportunity and embrace the risk to build it. This is episode 1. I am Nat Borchers. I am here with my co-host, AJ Nash. We are so excited to do this podcast. Are we not? Fist bump. Ready to go?
Excitement is oozing.
It's been a long time to get here, and we are sitting here above Salem on a sky bridge between the crosshairs of Chemeketa and Liberty.
You got Riverfront Park right here. Got the Gold Man right behind us. And we got an area that is ripe for opportunity.
I can't just think of a better time, a better place to talk about some big topics here, specifically in Salem, that also affect the rest of Oregon. But to talk with you, my friend, who I've known for now many, many years. And I want to talk really quickly about our connection because it goes to the game of soccer. I want to rewind the clock a little bit. So going back to 2016, I was in a transitional period for my real estate business. I was still playing professional soccer, and I was looking to change markets because I'd been in Salt Lake City, and then I got traded to the Portland Timbers, and I wanted to just go to a place where I could be active, right? And I wanted to get roots here in Oregon. We had just won a championship, so I thought, wow, we have like a lot of, there's a lot of groundswell from that. There's a lot of reason to stay here.
Yeah.
And I was looking at different markets, and I looked at, markets like Vancouver, Washington. I looked at Aloha, Beaverton, Gresham, even Eugene. And then I thought, networking is one of the things I'm best at. So I decided I would ask around, and I found a guy named Steve Reese, who was the goalkeeper coach for T2. And I said, Steve, do you have any recommendations about where I should invest? And he said, I live in Salem, Oregon. It's a great place. I have a connection for you. And I was like, sweet, hook me up. So he said, just give me a week, right? So a week later, he gave me a phone number, right, for a guy named James Haig. So I called James, and James had just gotten back from a trip to Disney World. And he was like, who are you? I said, my name is Nat Borchers. This is what I'm trying to do. He's like, how did you get my number? I said, through Steve Reese. He's like, Steve Reese. He's like, I don't know a Steve Reese. He's like, wait a second. The connection is AJ Nash. So that was how we connected initially. And I started in the residential game. I started getting into the commercial game. We started doing more things together. And now here we are, and we're connected.
I'm going to give you the short, colorful version because I love your version. I think it's like based on a true story.
Okay.
But my version starts on State Street. I was out in front of a little insurance company. We watched the 2015 MLS Cup. Timbers win.
That was a good time.
Oh, I'm a huge fanboy. Center back, played at Willamette University. I was a big fan of Big Nat in the back. And I was spraying champagne on the streets of Salem.
There is video of this.
Yes, there is video, but yeah, we'll keep that tight. But and then, yes, Steve Reese tells me, right? And I think I sent him a contact card, and he grabbed the company phone number, right? But either way, I was extremely interested in building a relationship with you because of the soccer piece of things. I was extremely interested in understanding what you were trying to accomplish. And then fast forward, I would argue it went like this. You were trying to invest in real estate, and you were looking at residential homes. And I was like, oof, as much as I'm a fanboy, that is not what I do. I do commercial stuff. I gotta make an intro. And then as we kept a relationship over the years, I remember asking you, like, when you're going to take that next step, right? Like, well, JV 2-ball sounds fun, but like, when are you going to come up to varsity ball and join the big boys?
And do you remember the moment that happened? I walked into the office at Legacy Real Estate. You were over there on your computer.
Okay.
And I had a meeting at Legacy, and then I was walking out, and you whispered, hey, I got a deal for you. seller financing. You interested? I said, well, sure. And that's how that transaction, that was my first, I would say, big deal in Salem, 28 units, 3 different tax parcels, a bunch of different cottage styles houses, right? Mm-hmm. And you were the connection there. You were the listing broker in that one.
Well, and here we are. We're talking real estate. But before we get into real estate, this podcast is about heavy lifts.
Correct.
Right? And I think, for me, heavy lifts are when you help a team, something that's bigger than an individual can accomplish, achieve something that they thought might not even be possible. And I think you in the 2015 MLS Cup, if you'd asked me as a fanboy at the beginning of that season, Timber's going to win it all, of course I would have told you yes. But would I have a bet on that in Vegas? Yeah, but that's a heavy lift, right? You're taking not just players and coaches, but a fan base along with you on this journey for 34 games, a double post, SKC.
You have doubts, right? You're not sure what's going to happen. It's a roller coaster ride, but you have a team behind you, right? And the importance of having that vision of what you want to accomplish, right? But knowing that it's not going to happen tomorrow. It's not going to happen in just a few months. It can take years for these things to develop, right? For these operations to happen, but you have to have a team, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, heavy lifts is really about that vision. And it's really about talking about these big risks you're taking as an entrepreneur, as a business person, and why you take them, right? What you have to risk to take them. There's obviously money, there's investment of time, there's resources, all those things. But we want to talk about and talk to other people about the importance of it and how it can change communities and how much we feel inspired by those people and by each other, working day to day on some of the things we're working on. So let's move into that. How about we talk about the Forge?
Oh, where do you want to start?
I want to start with the vision. I want to start with the piece of property that it once was and the why buy it. Why do anything with it?
Well, I think that the vision has grown so much over time. I don't think that heavy lift vision was actually in place when we got on board, but it started, probably 30 projects ago with a team at Clutch Industries that I'm a part of on the real estate end, but we're a team together.
Shout out to Chris Blackburn, Chris Anderson for everything they've done for us and for all the knowledge we've gotten from them. It's been a really fun relationship.
But yeah, I think it was 3 years ago. I hope it's not 3.5, but 2022, 2023. It's a blur at this point. The Liberty Plaza had one tenant left. That one tenant up top, selling gold coins. Now I'm blanking on their name. I shouldn't be doing that right now. But yeah, there was one tenant left in the building, and we were not buying it for its existing cash flow. We were buying it for its potential. And one of the things that helped in this process was a relationship with Anthem and Tyson Pruitt, formerly DPW, and they were looking to place a footprint. That footprint was a growing footprint for their organization. They wanted it to be in a strong location. They had some parking requirements they needed to satisfy, but them taking this third floor was the first part of the risk reduction that gave the development team and Chris Blackburn the guts to take on all the remaining risk.
In other words, having somebody who's going to take an entire floor, who's willing to say, look, I am in on this project with you.
Yep.
Right. That gave you the confidence to make this move.
And it underwrote 25 to 30% of the capital requirement, but there was still a 70% to 75% unknown.
So I want to go back to, okay, obviously you have a big partner here in this building that is going to be helping you drive forward with capital issues and all these things. But why make this investment at this point in time in downtown? Because you look at North Downtown Salem and there's some struggles. Obviously we have a vacant building over here to our right, JC Penney building. We had a formerly vacant building over here to the left. A lot of challenges with North Downtown, a lot of struggles. Why take this risk?
And I'm going to put words in Mr. Blackburn's mouth, which I'm good at. And so know that they may not be true. But, I would say I'm going to take a different angle in this response. What almost killed this deal at the finish line, right? Even though we had a lot of the recipe together to where we felt confident in this, what we call adaptive reuse. It's redevelopment. It's not development. We're taking an existing skeleton and we're going to make it something new. And At the finish line, we knew that we thought the numbers worked. We were inspired by a building that at the time Mike Tevis owned, but then you recently purchased soon thereafter at the 45th parallel, and said, well, what could we do in the city of Salem that would help bring an incubator, bring in entrepreneurs, allow a space for those with a little bit smaller budget to take risk, to dream, and to kind of allow an access point, right, downtown. And that was kind of the impetus in our vision. But we were coming in eyes wide open, and we wanted to listen to the community. But at the finish line, I think Mr. Blackburn said, I just don't know if the city's leadership is going to provide that necessary next step to solve the transient and the homeless and the safety issues that are plaguing the community's ability to feel safe to come out, right? And at some point it was a battlefront, and there's a lot of sides to that issue. There's a compassion side, there's a business side. We're not here to get into that, but that's part of the heavy lift.
Yeah.
But at the finish line, even though the numbers we believed made sense in the pro forma, with all the guessing that we were going to take, the outlying variable that almost killed the deal, where he said, I just don't think I'm ready, was that how are we going to deal with safety and public safety? And we looked at each other in the eyes, and we gave each other the pep talk, right? And I think I even told him, like, Chris, when I'm giving you this talk, I'm going to assume a coach's position. There's going to be saliva hitting your face. So just know I'm going to come out of it. And like in an old school moment, I'm going to be like, I passed out. What happened, right? But I was like, what do you mean if the city is going to do, what do you mean if city council is going to come step up? Like, you are an innovative business leader. You have such a big footprint in West Salem and downtown. You have a lot to gain here, and you have the team alongside of you that can provide that leadership alongside of council to impact change. So I would argue we took a big leap of faith at the time, but we, after that pep talk, agreed. And I shook his hand because he was like, I am not doing this alone, right? You are a big part of this team. But if we together think that we can be leaders that transform how this community thinks about public safety and how we potentially solve this issue of building back vibrancy in a downtown core, that could be the spark that creates a culture. There's another venture that came down, but I think it's a great thing to bring up here. How do we make Austin jealous? How does Salem get on the map so that they say, gee, what that Salem, Oregon place is doing? And how do we lobby with Austin, Texas, even though it's a way bigger market, and just be like, what do you got? Like, I love your spice and I love your flair, but bring it, Austin. Yeah, right?
No, I love that. And I think when you look at taking a leap of faith like this, you do have those headwinds of what is the community going to think, right? What are the headwinds? Homelessness, businesses moving out, the narrative, right? But can you change the narrative, right? Can you be a part of the solution, not be somebody who's complaining about what's happening? And I think that's what's really, inspiring about the Forge project, and about, what may be coming with JC Penney as well. But I want us to focus on the Forge, continue on this topic. Can you kind of run me through the thought process after you got Anthem, involved as a tenant? Like, how did you get to the second floor to figure out you want it to be what it is, which I'm going to let you talk about that. And then, we can kind of go down to first floor and basement after that.
Okay. Well, the most important part of this is a creative process. So how do we invite the community in? How do we invite other, not just opinions, but inertia at some level into the conversation? And so we started looking at the bones and said, well, what do we got? The second floor natural light, it is a little bit deeper, is coming from two angles and from the center. So we had some natural light capability, but when we broke in, it looked a little darker than it does now. We've done a lot to change it. So we said, what could this be? And it started out with entertainment. So we went through and we were like, man, what if we did an indoor simulated golf concept and a simulated golf bar? We were talking to 3 different users on that front. We looked at that kind of Dave & Buster's reinvented. Could we do a 1 or a 2 level entertainment, food? And so when you start to ideate, you start saying, what is Salem missing? And that kind of local, central, family-friendly entertainment hub, whether it is, truly family-focused, or is there a place for the adults, a place for the family? So we started with entertainment because we knew there was an extreme deficiency in entertainment. And we tried for about a year and a half to make that work.
And it was after the purchase.
It was after the purchase. Yep. And what you're doing is trying to get consensus building, because just speccing out and spending money and hoping they come, right? The field of dreams is at some level not good fiduciary responsibility, because you're guessing.
Absolutely.
And so do you just So I would say I appreciate Mr. Blackburn's leadership and his willingness to be patient, because some people just spec it out because they get impatient. And he has been patient on this project. And after about a year and a half, we started running out of patience. I'll be very open on that. And there's been a secondary plan that he and I had bounced on 6 or 7 different properties in this town. In fact, he had even bought a 960 to 980 commercial downtown for this purpose of a salon or a beauty collective is where we started. But this space was a little bit bigger than what that salon or beauty collective was going to require. And so we thought, well, how do we expand that? How do we make this something bigger than just salon and beauty? And how do we bring in wellness? And how do we bring in a focus? And we decided on a women's collective. And so beauty and wellness is a piece of that. But the issue is how do we provide a safe space that values being on the second floor in this downtown, where you're not directly in the line of sight, the line of sleeping in the front, right, in your doorstep, that we can actually provide that safety. We have a second level access to parking.
Yep.
And from there, it just kind of blossomed out. And he said, well, let's dream, let's draw it. So we go to the architect, he draws it up. We talk about the little boxes. We say, well, what do we need? We need natural light coming through. We need plumbing in every single suite, which is effectively a medical build out. We need private climate control in every single suite, because each one of these services, right, from retail to massage to hot yoga, are going to have different climate needs. There's no way we're going to balance and keep everyone happy on the floor.
Yep.
And one of the most fun pieces to that was the conversation around the signage out front. And I said, well, if we're going all in to provide the best space for a women's collective in town, well, just take a lot of that big sign budget out front and just put it in the best women's restroom in Salem. And that's going to be your best sign that you can have. And so that was kind of a joke in the beginning, but then it became a sticking point with the anchor tenant Clink, which we're very excited about. And
which is your wife's restaurant.
That's a
And
heavy
which
lift.
absolutely, to be obviously the Nash family is very much a part of the second floor and this building. And how did that come about? Briefly, just in terms of, you have all these, micro suites essentially for this women's collective, different services offered. And then all of a sudden you have this, you wanted an anchor tenant. How did that kind of come about?
Well, and I'll thank you. I'll tie it back together. Part of the reason we decided on the women's collective is the first floor users that we were courting wanted to know what was going on the second floor before they committed. And when we bounced entertainment, it fit with some. But when we bounced women's collective, apparently influential women between the age of 35 and 65 are a disposable income demographic that everyone agreed on the first floor they liked. So we said, all right, let's blindly commit, right? And then we had this anchor space, which was the former Thai Orchid. We were starting to now get interest on the lower level because we committed on that second level. And in that anchor space, this is a funny story, so I'm going to take a moment. My wife actually wanted to take the space that Ivory Cove has committed to. And we were just going to do a champagne bar, champagne, charcuterie, maybe a little flower bar alongside of it. And Chris Blackburn caught us in a weak moment. And I think he said something along the lines of, hey, Sheena, why would you want to be the bridesmaid when you could be the main squeeze? And there's an existing kitchen.
Well done,
and it seems
Mr.
like
Blackburn.
you're short on space. And yeah, from very palatable risk inserted, well, we might lose all the money we've worked for the last 10 years, Sheena, but we're going to have a great story, right? That's what was born from this in that heavy lift. But I think we were willing to take that heavy lift on because of the risk that Chris Blackburn took on the restroom. We told him if he took that risk on us, the bathroom and the women's collective build out, we would take the risk on bringing a concept to Salem they hadn't seen. And the toughest part about it was when we reached out to our consultants, they kept limiting us to, well, I don't know if Salem's ready. Well, I don't know if Salem, there's no one that's done this successful in Salem before. Like, you're going to go for a James Beard out of the gate. You're going to have, something that is, and I would argue that the success of the heavy lift that Rex and now Bill Pugh have created in an alley with Cozy Taberna is part of the confidence that was under our wings in this. And so this neighborhood taking risk led to Chris taking risk, led to me and Sheena taking personal risk. And ultimately, later we'll discuss, led to you thinking about taking some big risk. But what we can see here is that in this heavy lift, it's a snowball. And that energy right now is building. That energy is strong. It's been building for 3 years, and that fireworks show is about ready to start. I'm so excited. It's about ready to start. But yeah, the Forge the tough part about when you're infilling a concrete box, is that you go for your anchors first. Well, what are your anchors? Well, we got some anchors set up with, the large salons, with the restaurants. Right now, we've got our largest 3 spaces with beauty and with restaurants solved on the second floor. We've got, and I can break the news now, we're at the doorstep, knock on wood, and I'm very excited. We got an amazing dumpling spot. Right?
Dumplings in Salem.
We don't have it, and it's a whole nother level.
That is gonna change the restaurant dynamic here. That's really exciting.
Oh. French cuisine at the level we're bringing it, dumplings at that level. We've got craft ice cream that has committed. Their build out will be done. They're opening up simultaneous with Clink.
Yep.
And we've got a matcha and boba tea shop that's opening up that is the designers who brought Clink to life, who combined with my wife's brain created this, what I call Vegas step. I'm not going to call it true Vegas level. We don't have that kind of money, right? But when you walk in, it should transport you to something that you've not seen in Salem before from an experience standpoint. And, maybe I'll take this angle to it. What we learned was, in order to set a higher bar, you just got to invest more. And so you've got this atmosphere. So what do we have to invest to qualify as the best space for a women's collective in town? So we hit that bar. What do we invest to qualify for the best restroom in Salem? Who cares about the best women's restroom? Not that men care about a restroom, but the best restroom in Salem that they've ever seen. What does it take to qualify? Let's hit that standard. And then on that first level, we're like, all right, how do we now bring that cohesiveness where we're not just saying we're going to put, any use in Salem that wants to plant there, but we're going to be patient and we're going to wait and we're going to bring synergy and we're going to make Portland come to us as a destination. And that's in that lift. I mean, what we've got going on at the Forge right now is the anchors will start to open their doors. And the anchors are the big piece in any area. Maybe I'll back up a little bit. People will understand the word anchor from a real estate perspective when you got a Safeway anchored commercial retail center. Safeway brings the people every day, and then the smaller tenants infill around it. So the toughest part is securing and negotiating your anchor spots. And right now, the anchors are the ones that swing the doors. So they're not always just the biggest space, but they're the ones that are swinging the doors. And so, with Cozy, with Dumpling, with Craft Ice Cream, with Clink, those are people that are swinging open the doors. We've got this really cool event venue that we're going to talk about coming down to the lower level that'll be 120 to 140. You can have comedy, you can have small acts. So how do we swing the doors? And then how do we tell that story to the smaller tenants? And there's a timing component. Your anchors will invest and wait 6 to 12 months to get it right. Your smaller tenants want to see the people actually coming in. And especially in Salem, especially in North Salem, they want you to prove it. They want you to open the doors. They want to come in and they want to feel it before they commit. We've been able to spring that forward. We got 3 new LOIs that are getting signed this week. We had 1 last week and 1 the week before, so 5 in the last 3 weeks. We do have a few spaces on each floor left, and I'm gonna get too technical. Economic vacancy, meaning total square footage, we're about 2/3 committed. But suite vacancy, what we have left are those smaller suites.
Yep.
And the fireworks show is about ready to start.
So in other words, you've gotten your anchors, what you wanted from your anchors in this building, and now you're looking to infill the rest with all of the energy you've created. I love that. I love what you said about moments of weakness, because you caught me in a moment of weakness. Let's talk about the basement and what that's going to be, because you have this building we have 3 floors and a basement, right? We've talked about each of the 3. The basement, what is it going to be?
I'm even gonna divulge a secret right now.
Please do.
But the basement itself has got a catering kitchen, a green room, and it's meant to be a multifunctional space. There's a deficiency in nightlife in Salem, so we're going to bring a space that has a higher quality, smaller group nightlife potential. Number 1. Number 2, it's going to be a private event venue, corporate party. It's going to be something that's small wedding, quinceañera, take your pick. Right? It is going to
baby showers.
Yep, 120 to 140 people. It's going to spill in, but you're going to have access to the food in this building, or bring in your own. We're not going to require you use our bar. We're not going to require we use our food. We're going to try to make this as open as possible. It's a hermit crab shell that Salem can use, but it's going to have that a little bit higher feel to it. It's going to have your I mean, well,
Where's
we
the secret?
coerced your team.
Where's the secret come into?
Yeah, well, I'm gonna get to that in a second. So we coerced your team.
Sure did.
So I'm gonna bring that in. That's one secret. That runs the space over at the 45th parallel. But to come in, because we got multiple event venues, we're gonna hold some in our pocket that we're bringing out. We're not gonna talk about rooftops just yet. We're not gonna bleed any. Oh yeah, we're not gonna tease anything here. Yeah. But we've got now a highly qualified management team on board that's going to be stepping in to run that. And then just behind that, there's a double-sided speakeasy bar with definitely a different speakeasy feel. There is this women's space that when you sit upstairs in Clink, the chairs, the menu, the floral, the bathroom access, everything about that is built for a woman. Men will be very comfortable in that space. They're going to enjoy the food. They're going to enjoy the environment.
The food looks amazing, by the way.
Curated for women. So everything about that yang, we have yanged.
In the basement.
In the basement. So right behind those doors, we have a private bourbon and wine locker. Private lair, I'll call it. Poker rooms and billiards underneath the city of Salem sidewalks. Everything that is light and floral is now deep blue and mahogany. And if I'm going to be living here, right, with my wife running the restaurant on the second floor, I want to be far enough away that I don't have to, get caught up in the work. But I want to have my own leather chair downstairs and my own private locker. And so that bourbon club, we're debuting that here on this. And it doesn't have to be bourbon. It doesn't even have to be a vice. But that select, private, social atmosphere for private conversations, to gather before special evenings, to have private dinners in a very special environment will exist on the lower level. And it'll be the yin and yang to the second floor.
I love it. I love it. So a lot going on in this building. We got a hub of different things, entertainment and a women's collective, a first floor that has some amazing restaurant offerings, and then a basement that's going to be an event venue with a place for the men to go to hang out, right? And I want to put you on the spot here. Clink, I think everybody's wondering with Clink, do you have any timelines on opening for the restaurant? Any announcements you want to make, or do you want to push that off to let your wife make all those decisions?
Short answer is sure. In the event that this gets, I'll say stay tuned for a special message. Stay tuned for a special message on July 4th. But the weekend after July 4th, we will begin soft opening service. I'm not going to commit to a date. You're not going to corner me on that one yet. But the weekend right after July 4th, and stay tuned. I think there's going to be a special message that comes out on July 4th. And our team is fully starting next week.
Fantastic.
So hiring is going well.
And I've seen some sneak peeks of the food. I've gotten to meet Brittany, the executive chef, which she's amazing, and some of the things she's done, and the things that I don't think Salem is. I think Salem is ready for it. I don't think they're gonna, once they walk in and have the experience, I think it's gonna blow their socks off. I'm really excited for the community to come in and see how you are received, right? See how Clink is received. I want to move on. Can we talk about this energy right here that you've created, that we have created? Because I came into the Forge as an investor and consultant later on, right? And I've gotten my DNA all over that place now, and it's been fun. We've learned a lot.
Thank you.
It's been a learning experience. But
You
it's
took a
been
risk.
fun. Yes. Again, catching your friends in moments of weakness. Let's talk. We can talk about that another time. But opportunity also comes with creating something, right?
Yep.
And so, talking about heavy lifts, and this has been a heavy lift, but we also saw some opportunity over here to the north, which is the JC Penney building.
Yep.
Right? We're connected right here on the Sky Bridge to this building, and we're going to talk a lot about it.
Let me butt in. Let me segue.
Yes.
I got to.
Okay.
So I'm going to change the word heavy lift in this scenario because that is it spans across many to leveling up. And this will segue right in over here. So our intent with the Forge was, how do we level up Salem? Not just status quo, not just fill a vacancy. How do we level up? How do we level up what we do? And so leveling up food will help us create a scene. Creating a good space for a business is one piece of leveling up. But how do we become the scene? And I learned this in actually our interviews with the exec chef. And one of our questions was, why would you want to come from a James Beard restaurant in Portland to Salem? And the response was, I believe Salem has a the best opportunity to be the scene. And that fueled me. That one comment
That's huge.
fueled me.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we are creating over here is, we've got what Anthem has done is leveling up from wealth management and CPA firm. This isn't meant to be a commercial, but I guess it's turning into one for them. What that service looks like in Salem. They're leveling up. What the second floor has done is leveled up what that salon and women's collective and wellness can look like as a team with synergy. What Clink has done is leveled up atmosphere, leveled up food, leveled up customer service. We think we can hit all three out of the park. I'm told if you can hit two, you're going to have a successful plan. On the first floor, we are already engaging with clothing brands that are very different than what you can currently find in Salem. They're connected to LA, they're connected to New York, and I am just so excited to level up the way we think and then insert across the way this JC Penney building, which I know we're not ready to unveil a new name yet, and maybe that's something we end up talking in the heavy lift. What does Salem want? Maybe I'll throw that back in your court in a second, but over here, we noticed a couple things. If we're going to level up our ability to deal with public safety and making people feel safe in creating a scene here, we can't have a vacant building next to us for the next 2 to 3 years. So I got to convince some poor sap to put this on its shoulders.
Who would do such a
that
thing?
short straw? Oh!
Moment of weakness.
Oh,
The heavy
hey.
lift is coming.
If you can help bring Portland to an MLS Cup, you got this. It's just a little building in Salem. Come on, man. But yeah, what we've got going, I mean, are you ready to start digging into some of the...
I'm ready. I am ready. I want to go into real quickly how this came about. Right, this opportunity. From your standpoint, you're a commercial real estate broker, right? And finding deals is kind of that's what you do, right? And so I'm always interested as an investor as to how this come about. So I'm just curious, like how the deal came about first and foremost, and then we can get into what it might be.
Well, like most things, deal came about trying to solve a problem.
Okay.
And in this scenario, I had reached out trying to solve their problem. There being the current owners of JC Penney Building.
Yes.
I was like, hey, I can help you, right? This is what I do. I solve problems. Let's solve a problem. And then as the Forge got to, blossoming into what it can be, and we started to the women's collective, and we started having a more focus on on public safety with that in mind, we're thinking, well, shoot, this is becoming our problem. We can't have that look like this in Salem and reach our maximum potential at the Forge. And so like a good poker player, right? We got to double down and double down. And so we're looking across the street and we're like, what's it going to take to get this deal done? So we built a relationship with the current building owner. They were great the entire time throughout the process. They were seeking to engage. They were seeking for a business plan they could sink their teeth into. But the heavy lift or their team around them was different than the team we had at Clutch. And they had a great ownership team and a management team and a broker, right, alongside of them. But they weren't walking the streets every day. They didn't own the properties right next door. And the breadth of their team and their experience in adaptive reuse wasn't what ours was.
Yeah.
And so how that deal came about was like most things, Nat, I just make a phone call, because
Not afraid to pick up the phone, are you?
old copy machine salesman is not afraid to pick up the phone and just said, hey, let's do a deal. Let's talk about where value's at. Let's talk about what you need to accomplish. Let's talk about what we're willing to risk. I can't go into all the deal points, but I mean, it'd be a little awkward if I had you pat my back right now. So I'll just pat my own back.
I think
that was a good
back. I think it was a good move.
That was a good deal.
Ultimately,
Yep.
what you're saying is you've made a huge investment over here and in North Downtown.
Yep.
And you have a building that is vacant across the way. You got experience with adaptive reuse over here. Might as well just, plug and play over here, right? So it makes sense that the deal came up. Obviously, I came into the deal and I got excited because I was part of this one.
Yep.
And I see the opportunity here. So let's shift. Let's talk about this building and kind of our conversations and what we can tease and what we can't.
Oh, here we go. I'll explain heavy lift from an investor perspective briefly, and then I'll jump right into the teases. This building over here, we purchased at a vacant downtown building price. The fact is, it's still scary. So the great news is all you have to do is just invest millions of dollars, Nat, into this building.
No problem.
Community and your money. And if you invest millions of dollars and everything goes right, I promise it'll be worth it.
Thank you.
Okay. So thanks for that, Rick.
Yeah. You're welcome.
But yeah, as far as the energy, if we go through this process, step one is let's dream and let's envision. So this process started a few months back. And those elevations and floor plans that we've been working on and ideating and redlining.
We
redlining
literally just got them last night. I got an email from Gene Belante, who's our architect, and I glossed over everything he said, and I just sent the photos to AJ. What do you
hoser? Yeah, you know what you did? You wrote, "What do you think?" Just baiting me. Just baiting me.
I knew.
Trying to show no emotion.
Yeah, I knew that there would be a fun response, and I mean, my initial response to the elevations was like, "Wow, it is beyond what I had envisioned." Yep. And that's what happens when you bring somebody who's a professional like Gene,
yep.
And to give a different perspective on what you and I had kind of seen, right? Because we looked at it from a floor plan,
yep.
vantage point, and now we're seeing it from the elevations, the exterior, and it's like, wow, we can transform this building.
So the good thing that we have coming behind us is instead of 2 vacant buildings where we're just dreaming from scratch, we now have the forge to build on, right? So if I take this floor by floor, JC Penney's at its core is a lower level basement, still great clear height, okay? A first level, a second level, and a rooftop.
It's got a rooftop.
Oh, it's got a rooftop. Okay, we'll get into that later. So that lower level, it's like, well, what do you do with a lower level? How do you bring energy? That is a fun piece of this, but I'm gonna start on the easy part, the second level, okay?
Yep.
So to play off the forge and to play nice with the forge, that second level now would open up. It's like the last ventricle of the heart, and I'm not a science person, so that may not have made sense from that, but just go with me, right? It's that last ventricle. And so when that opens up, the Sky Bridge now connects to Salem Center from the 550 stalls and the parking garage, right?
That moment that we're going to open up the Sky Bridge in the future to the public, and we're going to have the ribbon cutting. Tom Hofford will be here. Whatever it looks like, it just gives me goosebumps. But go on.
I'm going to throw a concert on top of the Sky Bridge just to celebrate.
That sounds like a good idea.
So, yeah, as we blend over the second level, the thought was, how do we play off of this innovative culture that you've helped build at the 45th parallel and maybe invite spaces and space sizes that allow a smaller business to occupy it, to get that exposure. So we would call those incubators, but in the end, it may not need incubators.
Micro suites, smaller suites. Yeah.
Yep. And so that second level is going to blend from the women's collective into micro suites and blend into the mall and cooperate very well with the retail and personal service.
Right.
Okay. That first floor, we are still ideating. There is retail, there is fun, national, regional appeal. There is.
Everybody wants a grocery store, by the way.
Everyone wants a grocery store. We would love a grocery store.
Oh, yeah, we would too. But some of the things that kind of have been hitting home to me as an active dad, as an active person, is just engagement for kids, engagement for the community. Having a place where the kids can just run around, have fun. Is it bowling? Is it arcades? Is it a bounce house? Like these things just kind of hit home for me as a father of 2 and someone who just like loves to be active and just thinking about this being, the gateway to entertainment, for North Downtown. Like, what does that look like? So the first floor is really important that we get that right. And I've asked the community when, we went under contract on this and the article started coming out, I said, what does Salem need is the question I've gotten. And I opened it up to my Instagram at Nat Borchers, and I said, hit me up, let me know what you think. And I've gotten a lot of good feedback. It's been really, really fun. So that first floor.
For those listening in, welcome to the creative process.
Yes.
Because right now you have just hit me with something that's stuck. So the noodle that just stuck was we're the hub for entertainment. So the second floor may or may not be in that entertainment realm. The lower level, 100%. Can't wait to talk about that.
Yep.
The rooftop.
And the rooftop.
And this first level is how do we integrate entertainment that can play well with kids, that can play well with the women's collective, selfishly as, not as a father, but as a husband that just wants a date night. Like, what's that place that I can take my 12-year-old and my 10-year-old that, may have a chaperone? That maybe I could pay extra for a chaperone that I trust, right? I don't want to call it daycare, but you know what I mean? Like that they can actually hang out. I don't even know if that exists, but that's what I'm hunting for.
Sure.
Or just how do we engage healthy lifestyles and safe spaces and find a way to make the economics work?
And for families, right? If you can make mom and dad happy, we have food and drinks, right? And then kids happy with a place to run around.
Yep.
Can we check those boxes?
Yep.
That's something that we're really challenging ourselves as a team to do, but it's very, very exciting. Let's talk about the basement though. We have a really cool idea for the basement. It's I think your idea. And I've really, initially I was like, I wasn't sure on it, but I've really grown into it after you've given me like 30 ideations of this. So let's talk about this really quick.
Okay. So it started out as a night market or a night collective. So that is what we're going to call it.
Mm-hmm.
In this night market or night collective, we've got a, let's call it a space for vendors, a space for a reinvented food court, and a space for entertainment in Salem 52 weekends a year. Okay. So let me give you some parameters. We're going to gate it. We're going to go with, when's it going to be open? Throwing noodles. Sha! 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. Friday and Saturday, 52 weeks a year.
Okay. So every Friday and Saturday night, this place is going to be open to the public.
Clearly, it's not open on Christmas Day, but you get my point.
Yeah.
Right? So 52 weeks a year, but we condense that to 20 hours a week.
Mm-hmm.
So it is closed Sunday through Thursday. It is not a burden on the neighborhood Sunday through Thursday, but we channel and we funnel all of that energy and all of that entertainment prowess, right, and opportunity into 2 nights a week.
Okay.
When you come down, I picture, right, Night Collective or Salem's Night Market, flashing,
Mm-hmm.
even though we can only flash once every 8 seconds.
Yeah. We've learned that. So, yeah.
That's right. We can have something fun, right, that says, hey, we're alive right now.
Yeah, we're here. And we're here, right?
And we, even though it is a basement, what it is it's a controlled environment. There is low natural light, but for entertainment, that's good. Think of any casino you've ever been to, right? For things like vendor fairs, it gives 5 days that they can come in after hours, get set up. It gives a lot of time for people to set up. And then truly one of the biggest costs in business is human capital, right?
Yep.
So it focuses that human capital. But if you take art fair, right, in the art community meets Saturday market, right, in the local, everything from your jewelry community to your flowers to your farm community, right, to your specialty cheeses.
Mm-hmm.
And then you blend that in with specialty and seasonal retail and on-site services, your face paint, your henna tattoo. Just think when you go to the state fair, right, you go through those booths.
And people are drawn normally to like a flea market, right?
Yeah.
But this is not flea market. We're talking about something more elevated as an experience.
Sure, but I would argue that a reinvented flea market, like it's all of those things. I think the recipe is part flea market,
Okay.
part Saturday market, part art fair, but more important, it is a collective. It is a collection of incubator spaces of people that have something of value to share with the community, that they can choose to share it for 1 weekend a month, for 1 weekend only, for every weekend that you'll let me, right?
Yep.
And so it's a space that's going to try to be a home for everyone, but think about a 10 by 10 vendor fair area that you get 20 hours, that's $200 for the weekend.
And if you've ever been to one of these things, I've been to the Portland Night Market.
Yep.
It's a blast.
Oh.
Entertainment, you have food, you have a lot of really cool vendors. And we actually have one of these vendor fairs over at the 45th Parallel Building, once a month. And it's just cool to walk around and see, there's always somebody new that you can be buying from. There's always somebody new to be talking to. And the vibe's really cool. You have a DJ.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And it'll have different flair in the holiday season than it will, right, in certain parts of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there is a certain weekend a month that's more dedicated to art or flea market or this or that.
Yep.
But the argument is that I'm going to go one more piece. How do we reinvent the food court experience? And I think number one, the food have options, 3 or 4 vendors. I'm going to say 4 right now, but think of like the top 4 happy hours in town, right? Take a Cozy happy hour, Rudy's happy hour if they get opened up again, right? That was my favorite happy hour before they closed down. But take your 4 vendors that have just 6 items, great food. And then instead of owning a bar, let's have vendors, right? A couple wineries that are pouring tastings, and selling bottles throughout the weekend, a cidery or a cider, option, a local brew option. So how do we bring that vendor components to the beverage? And then think of specialty desserts. How do we get your, whether it's your kettle corn operator or your specialty cake or cupcake, right? How do we have a vendor that is now giving really delicious flavor, right? That is set up around this food court. And that is an entertainment area that is a community stage that offers community options, right? From maybe 11 a.m. to 5 p.m.
I love that. I think it's such a fun idea. And I think we have to figure out, reinvent how we think about spaces now, because we have so much space and we have a 100,000 square foot building here. Mm-hmm. And I think it's such a good idea to take a space and to create an area that you're not going to have to invest a ton into on the investment side, but you're going to engage the community. You're going to bring a lot of small businesses in. You're going to create entertainment and options, because a lot of people, when I ask them about Salem, 'Cause I'm not from Salem. They say Salem's too boring. And I always say, I think there's plenty to do here, and we are going to create some more fun stuff for you.
I'm going to check you on one thing though, because I don't want you to give a poor representative of what investment you're making.
Oh, okay.
You just said a word. I'm not going to maybe not invest a ton into
as it relates to this floor.
Maybe compared to the second floor versus the lower level, but you're still talking $1 million investment. You're still talking, instead of
it's
that,
not chump change for sure.
An investment of changing the hearts and minds of Salem, which I would argue is a lift far heavier than coming up with another $1 million. So we're investing a ton, but it is going to be more of a shell format for the vendors. You're right. There's not going to have all the build out that the women's collective has.
Yeah,
but
we're gonna do it right.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right on that. Yeah. But from the perspective of the total package, and we whispered a little bit about the rooftop.
The rooftop.
The rooftop. The rooftop. We're here.
Yes.
We're here.
Oh my God.
So we are here on the rooftop of the JC Penney building, and we need to talk about what this is going to be, the ideas that we have discussed. I've thrown it out to the Salem community about what they need. And
wait, let's stop here. You know what's great is a lot of people say that. I've thrown it out to the Salem community. No, you brought Fox 12 down, and you jumped on Fox 12, and you started getting all these Instagram, email. You're pushing them over to me. The community is speaking. We are listening, right?
Yep.
What have they been telling you?
It has been mind-blowing. I've gotten so many DMs and emails about this project, and it's been, I think if I could sum it all up, it's people want a safe place to be entertained, to have fun, to be with their families, to be with their friends, to eat, to drink, to play. And we can talk about what that looks like specifically, but that's the big picture. And there's so many great ideas we've gotten, from skating rink to bowling alley to arcades to bar and restaurant to
rooftop. Hey, just a quick shout out.
Okay.
I'm going to jump in. One of my favorite emails you've sent, right? Because you're engaging, and I can't believe how much data you're consuming right now, but you're engaging with a lot of people. And it wasn't necessarily the list of 30 that was exciting, but there was a mom that reached out because her teenage daughter and their friends have been assembling a list of what would make Salem awesome. And it was like a detailed list, and it had both business uses and even like specific business brand names. But yes, you're right, like entertainment, a safe space, family entertainment, a sports bar, something on a rooftop, a night market, like all these things are coming in, grocery, and there's gonna be some natural barriers, which is called, you gotta pay the bank bills. Right. That a project like this is going to require financing. This is not, you make money as a center back, but you're not a forward, right? You didn't retire
We're doing the dirty work.
Yeah, money. But yeah, I think that let's just look, right here on this rooftop. Can I paint a story for you?
I would love for you to. Please do.
Okay.
And I'll probably push back on a few parts of the story. Go ahead, though.
So here's the way I see it. Like we come up the elevator to the back. Okay. Because that's going to be an access constraint. We can't come upstairs, even though physically we might be able to. The city's going to say you got to have an elevator. Okay.
Yes.
So we come up the elevator from the night market down below. We're getting here about 9:30. It's a summer night, just like July, mid-July. We get up here and there's some food trucks on the rooftop. There's a bar that we go get a beverage, right? I get a cider, a little bit too much sugar. Right? You probably get more of a manly beer.
I'm probably getting an NA. But,
an NA. Yeah. Okay. But I'm still gonna get a cider because I gotta. That's what I'm gonna do.
Okay.
And we go over to this mini golf and we're playing. And it's us and our wives, and we have this friendly game, and my wife's extremely competitive, and so is yours, right? But we get to a point where we're tied. Okay. And it's the last hole.
Okay.
And we've cut a hole in these parapets so that you can see the gold man. And the sun sets behind us. We are
beautiful.
An 8-foot and a 9-foot putt. You're a little further back right now. You got the 9-footer. You're talking a little smack. I got the 8-footer. And we both know how this ends. You miss the putt, I make the putt. We
disagree.
I ride my putter like a rodeo bronco around the rooftop, right? And or maybe you get it and somehow you sneak one out.
We have something on the line though, right there for punishment. And I probably win, and you end up having to take off your shirt and ride your putter around like a.
And I'll pretend like I'm from Montana, right? Those are my roots, and I'll ride that putter like a rodeo bronco. But just to have a rooftop venue that is your food park, right? Sports bar. And maybe, there's got to be some covered area up here, but imagine having pickleball right behind us. Right in the center. A center court that's just a community pickleball court. Imagine having, 9 holes of golf, but this isn't clowns, right? This is, you can work on your putter, you can work on your game.
Yeah, and imagine having all of this different options for food, plenty of drink options, and imagine you being up here with your family, with your kids, and everybody has something to keep them entertained.
And you can see, we've got 9-foot walls, so we're not going to be falling off of this rooftop. Maybe those are 8 foot. I'm trying to, I'm a short guy, so everything looks 9 feet. Yeah. But at least I'm not falling off, right?
No, you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. I might be able to see over a little bit better than you. But yes, I think, cutting those down, having a view of, this eastern portion of downtown is going to be amazing, and it's going to bring people up, and we really want this part of the building and the basement to really engage the community and really to be a talking point for people and get people to come out.
And so maybe this plan is coming together right now. I can tell you that the Forge, just within this last week, has had 7, 8, 9. I mean, 2 new inquiries came in this morning, so I'm saying 8 and 9. We haven't qualified them yet. But I think we are down to the last remaining 5 or 6 suites on the second floor.
Okay.
And that is spilling into JC Penney's. And so the way I see this, you got your rooftop bar on top. You got your, women's collective blends with your incubator space with those smaller retailers, the more Salem incubator spaces, giving the Salem entrepreneur a chance. And not that we don't want big brands, but right over the Sky Bridge to Salem Center, we've got a different home that has a little bit higher budget for bigger brands.
Right.
So we take what you've done at the 45th parallel, we blend that into the second floor. We still got to solve the first floor. I know there's some things that are in motion that could go either direction.
We'll talk about that soon. There's some fun things on the horizon for the first floor.
And then we got the night market that's coming together. And that night market energy right now, Salem, I think, is ready for entertainment every Friday and Saturday night. Salem is ready for something that is collecting 800 to 1,000 people every Friday, every Saturday for joint activities, for family activities, for face painting, for family Christmas photos, for art, right? For just
anything to bring people here on a Friday and Saturday night, have some fun, right? So if we can get that basement and this rooftop going, I think it's going to be really exciting for Salem. And but we want to engage the community of Salem, and we want to make sure that people understand that what we're trying to do here is to bring people out, and they have to want to support us as well, don't they?
I think the biggest thing that I think we need as developers, right? We're doing a lot of things, and ideas is a big part of things, right? And we are so grateful for people bringing the ideas. But what has to come next on that idea is using those spaces and supporting those people taking risks. And so you've got people taking big risks, and my hope is the inertia here that we're creating around the Forge and JC Penney and Salem Center in this North Downtown District, that Salem responds by showing up. And if there's one comment that kind of gets me, it's when people say there's nothing to do in Salem, because I would feel that they're maybe 2 years behind. Like, it does not take that much digging. And thanks to those like Espinoza with What's Happening Salem, right? The Salem Business Journal, who's throwing stuff out there with some news and updates as well. We've got a lot going on. In fact, we got a ton going on, and we just need to focus those efforts, and more importantly, show up. So just show up on the rooftop and enjoy the sunset and have an NA.
I love it. I love it. Well said, and we really appreciate everybody listening to our first episode of Heavy Lifts. It's been so much fun to chat with you, Mr. AJ Nash, and so excited to do future episodes where we talk about those who are taking big risks, and they're seeing opportunity and embracing these risks to build it. So appreciate you being on the podcast and hosting with me, co-host. We will see you all next time we're so excited to talk more about Salem.
Cool.